Hello, and welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV shows while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
And I'm Charles Rogers, and I've got my May the 4th, which is the date that we're recording this episode, pink drink that actually, if you check our socials, you can actually see the May the 4th pink drink. But I have it, and we are ready to go. Bradley, have you enjoyed your break from me?
Oh my god, it was like the most glorious, I think it was like 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was really nice. I was like, oh my god, this is sweet, bro.
It's so nice and peaceful. The only time I ever had to hear bad takes was when I went to the Facebook comments
right.
of Star Wars articles, which I do because I hate myself.
What were you watching in your spare time? Because we were on this break, let's see. I think
2 weeks or so.
So Winter Soldier had been done by then, I think, by the time we stopped. So
yeah, I think its final episode was like the day before we recorded our episode before going on break. I watched all of the Monsterverse is what they're calling it, the new Godzilla King Kong movies, because I needed a little Star Wars break.
I feel that
myself.
I was watching the DCAU movies, so all the DC animated movies.
Oh, the animated. I've seen All-Star Superman, and I really liked it. I don't know if I've seen any of the other animated movies.
So there's a lot of the animated movies, but there are, I think it's about 12, I want to say 15 movies that are technically all in the same continuity. They have they're a shared kind of story. The things that happen in the first movie then are remembered in the second movie, and then the third movie, and the fourth movie, and the fifth movie, and the sixth movie, etc.
So what you're saying is DC beat Marvel to it, just in the wrong media.
In the wrong media. No, yeah, actually, these movies are very good. They start with the movie is called Justice League War. That's the first in the continuity. Because technically there's another one, but it doesn't count because it's called the Flashpoint Paradox, and it doesn't actually connect. So this one is the first one. And then
I have some vague understanding of DC just from the cultural osmosis, and because my best friend and co-writer is a huge DC fan. And so he will tell me about he's the one that got me to watch All-Star Superman. He'll tell me about things like Flashpoint, and I'm just like, that sounds
interesting. I'm watching these ones in order because it's just fun to watch them in order. And I'm kind of going through them and trying to figure out which ones are not worth watching. Because sometimes they do connect, sometimes they don't. So I'm trying to erase the ones that don't connect. But they are kind of fun if you don't read the comics, because they're all adaptations of the new 52 comics, which is the current run of DC.
You know what else I've been watching? And I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but I watched all of the 13th Doctor's run on Doctor Who that's on HBO Max. So I'm caught up through The Timeless Child. I haven't seen Revolution of the Daleks yet, but I did watch all of the new Doctor Who. So that was the other big thing that I've been watching on our break. Is I felt like I needed a break from Star Wars, but I also couldn't let convoluted space fantasy right by the seat of your pants mythology go. So Doctor Who, slid right into the gap left behind.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to look back at my little TV time app to see what I've been watching. And so I watched those movies, and then actually one of them I had never seen before that doesn't count. It's just kind of a standalone movie, but it was really good. It's called Superman Red Sun.
I've heard these names, but you would have to tell me what happens in the movie because I've never sat down and watched these movies.
So this one, just not even to tell you the whole entire plot. It's basically what would happen if Superman was Russian instead of American.
Oh, I've heard of this.
I
need to add that to my watch list.
It's actually, for a standalone movie that you don't even have to have any context to watch, you can just watch it, just know, all you have to do is know, what Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman is, and then you can be like, okay, I'm going to go watch this movie. And then it's so cool because it's like this weird ass take on if he was fucking Russian. Like, I don't know. It's really cool.
I will definitely have to keep an eye on these. Speaking of watch lists,
Hmm.
we do keep a watch list, and I have to mention this very briefly before we dive into the meat of the episode. We do keep a
Yes.
watch list of hot men doing Star Wars things, and our brand obligates us to at least mention that while we were on a break, Matt Lanter, who's the voice of Anakin Skywalker on the Clone Wars and Rebels, and also appeared in The Mandalorian, did say that he will be returning to voice Anakin Skywalker in future projects with Lucasfilm Animation.
Hmm.
So keeping an eye on. I felt our brand required me to mention that whenever a hot man does a Star Wars thing, we will be keeping an eye on it.
Oh,
And him
for damn
for
sure.
reasons.
Yeah, that new when that news came out, it's kind of you're kind of like wondering what the animated brand's kind of gonna do moving forward, and like if this episode were any indication, I'm gonna say that they're gonna use the animated moving forward to expand on characters or stories that they just didn't get to.
That's always kind of what it's been. Like, if you look at the Clone Wars, what it was as a show was
Right.
it was going in and fleshing out stuff and themes that the prequels didn't really have time to stop and cover in a lot more depth. Like, it
Right.
retroactively makes Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith kind of make a little more sense in context when you get to go in and dive into themes like what exactly it meant for the Jedi to lose their way. So I'm really excited.
Mhm.
I'll skip all the way to the end of my notes, and this is a good time to mention the new Lucasfilm animation logo that I just noticed at the end of this, and my brain went, "Oh, good! Lucasfilm Animation is going to do more projects because they have their own logo, and I'm super excited for it."
Star Wars detours confirmed.
Star Wars Detours confirmed.
Just kidding.
That is confirmed. That is coming.
I mean, yeah, you never know. But actually, I do think what's interesting about this, though, is that we could possibly see at this point now more than one animated show at a time.
Lucasfilm has this aversion to releasing and marketing products
Yeah.
like at the same time.
Hmm.
Like it's very hilarious to look at Marvel, and Marvel's currently promoting like 12 different things, and Lucasfilm was like, "No, we must focus on Bad Batch because that is the thing that's coming out. No mentioning other things that are happening.
Right.
Can only promote one thing at a time." Confusion,
Yeah, I don't
circuits
know.
overloading.
I don't know why they do that. Like, I was getting my car fixed today, and they had like Good Morning America on in the little waiting room, and Dave Filoni was on Good Morning America today, and they were like, I'm not even kidding you. They were like, all the questions were about Bad Batch and talking about Bad Batch or whatever, right? And then one of the news anchor, I can't remember who it was, has the audacity to go, so, can you tell us anything about Mandalorian season 3? And then Dave Filoni's like, no. He's like, no, I can't talk about other things. Why would I talk about other
Well,
things? My show's coming out now. Why would I talk about
in fairness to him, they haven't started shooting Mando season 3, and we don't know
True.
where they are in the process yet. So maybe
Right.
he can't talk about it. Maybe
Well,
there's nothing to talk about.
true, but he also did talk about Book of Boba. But he
That's probably
basically,
further along.
but basically, he was trying to say like, even if I did know anything, why would I tell you on Good Morning America? Like, no, he's not gonna do that. Especially if it's not planned out by Disney. You think that they would have a prepared statement ready for him, like, here, you can talk about it if you say it like this.
You know, when they do these shows, it's like, you know, there's like a Disney sniper up in
Yes.
the rafters with a bead trained on him,
There's a
just in case
there's a
he
crosshair.
mentions something he's not supposed to.
There's a
I'm very worried for Alfred Molina right now. I truly am scared
yeah.
of what sort of non-disclosure special forces Disney's going to send after him for revealing essentially the plot of the next Spider-Man movie.
Honestly, I think whenever Marvel or whenever that happens with Marvel, I think it's on purpose. I think it has nothing to do with like I think he knew exactly what he was doing because I think Kevin Feige told him to fucking say that shit. He
Probably.
because you know what? I think the other issue too is that I think with especially with this Spider-Man movie, I think everybody has all these expectations about what this fucking Spider-Man movie is going to be about and what it's going to have in it and all this stuff and multiverse and all that bullshit. And it's like, guys, you are really giving Marvel way too much credit right now. Like, yes, I'm sure they can come up with something very interesting. It's going to be a good movie, but like, it's not going to be the Spider-Man movie multiverse of your dreams. Okay, so relax. Like,
note this timestamp and this moment because when the next Spider-Man movie turns out to be a giant multiverse spanning crossover, we can rub this in Bradley's face between now and the end of time.
you know what? You can rub this in my face if Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland are like fucking on screen. Then you can rub it in my face. Then I'll be like, okay, you got it.
I mean, I'm sure you'll be too happy at that to even care.
I mean, that being said, I'm just looking forward to the updated, men.com Spider-Man parody. I'm hoping that they do one after this movie comes out. They'll do like a whole Spider-Man thing and be like, let's do a multiverse thing of all three Spider-Man have an orgy scene at the end, with Dr. Octopus and
I'm just gonna casually take note of that for no reason at all. Definitely not going to keep that in the forefront of my mind.
No, I was actually talking to my friend about that the other day, and I was thinking like, you know what? You know who hasn't done a porn parody in a while? And I was like, men.com hasn't done Mandalorian yet. So I wonder if they'll ever do like Mandalorian porn parody.
Well, I mean, I'm currently between jobs, so if they want somebody to write it, I could send them my resume.
Well, let's come up with like a rough draft, and we'll be like, hey guys,
I'm not above it. Just
pay
me
us
money. I'm not above it. I'll do it.
Oh, I mean, we've already got. I mean, think about it. We've already got it kind of locked down because you can do the first episode. You can have Mando with the blue guy. You can do the second scene. It'll be Mando with what's his face.
Instead of planet hopping, it's men hopping, which
right.
also is the title of the chapter of one of my autobiographies. So,
well, anyway, let's get into Bad Batch because
we have a lot to cover.
We had a whole 70 minutes to watch. Jesus. So
I made the mistake because of the time zone difference.
Yes,
dear listeners, I'm on Pacific time. Bradley is on Eastern time. We're about as far apart as far as time differences as you can get. It premiered for me at midnight. So I stayed up till midnight to watch it. And like about 10:30, I was thinking to myself, I was like, there is no way in hell I'm actually going to stay up to watch this. I stayed up, I watched it, and as the end credits were rolling, I went, there is no way in hell I'm going to go to sleep after this.
Yeah. See, the only difference between me and you and doing that is if I wanted to do that, I'd have to stay up till 3 a.m. and watch it. And then I wouldn't be able to go to bed at 3 a.m. So I would
you had to go to work today.
Yes,
I didn't. I had the day off. I'm in the process of leaving my current job and I've got a few work days left, but today I happen to have off.
Gotcha.
So I was able to justify. I would like probably not have enjoyed the episode as much if I would have had to wait because somebody would have inevitably spoiled some of the big twists in this episode for me.
Yeah, I'm glad because I woke up. I think it was around 8 o'clock in the morning my time when I woke up, or 7:30ish or whatever. Or actually, it must have been really early because when did you message me? Because I'm trying to think.
I messaged you, so I messaged Bradley. Fun look at behind the scenes of how this friendship actually works. I messaged him at about 1:30 in the morning my time, which was about 4:30 a.m. his time, in all caps. Watch it when you wake up. Don't look at social media.
Yeah, so 4 a.m. my time.
4 a.m. his time. I was like 10 minutes from the end of the episode.
And I woke up at basically 7 o'clock. I messaged you back and I was like, oh shit. Okay, well, I'm going to try to watch it before I go to work.
Now, the other fun thing to keep in mind, folks, before we dive into our deep dive is the other thing I said to him was, don't tell me your reactions. we're going to do it live on the show. So neither of us know what the other one thought of anything
Oh
in this
yeah.
episode yet.
I guess I really haven't like given any kind of illusion as to
He
how I
hasn't
felt.
given any illusion. The only
That's
thing
good.
I only posted 2 things on social media. It's good and I liked it. Those are the
Gotcha.
only things anyone knows, which frankly, that is not a surprise.
Well, okay. Well, here. What? Let's just start from. I don't. I guess maybe just overall impression of the first episode. I
Yeah,
guess.
we won't do the one thing we like to dislike because
Yeah.
we
No,
don't
I don't
want
want to.
to
Yeah.
get into too much.
Yeah. I don't
We'll
want to do that
break
with this one.
that for this. But overall impression of this episode,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was an excellent pilot. I thought it was an excellent pilot if you haven't seen the final season of the Clone Wars. That's something that really stuck out to me because this episode does a great job of introducing you to who is the Bad Batch, what is their role in the Grand Army of the Republic, who is Echo, why is he different,
Right.
what are these people's personalities. Even if you haven't seen that, it's rewarding if you've seen the Clone Wars and you know what they're talking about. But it does a good job of you can watch this and come away with the necessary knowledge. I thought it was great. I thought there was some great action moments. I thought there was some great world building. I love everything about it. I can't even think off the top of my head of a thing that I majorly disliked, the way I disliked some of the elements of the episodes of The Mandalorian.
Right. Well, that's why I didn't want to do the one thing you like and dislike about this because.
How do I find something I disliked?
Well, not even that. I just felt like it's hard to with Mandalorian, it was easy to do that because we've had time to process the episodes and really kind of like go, okay, I've seen the episode about 5 or 6 times by now. I can really kind of go, okay, well, that didn't really work in the episode. That did really work in the episode. With this, I mean, I only watched it this morning. So
I've watched it twice to take notes because there's no trivia page. I have to do my own trivia.
Oh, they did add something.
They did add something.
There's only 2 things of trivia right now on there, and they're so silly. Like they're not even like very interesting. Like, and
I bet I've got more interesting trivia.
Well, let me give you my lame trivia real quick. Okay, this is the dumbest thing.
Lame trivia. What's the lame trivia?
The lame trivia because it literally had just came out and they hadn't even come up with trivia yet. It said that in the Polish dub for this show, that all the clones are dubbed by different people, not one person like the American.
Okay.
That's the one bit of trivia that was on the main page, like the second it aired. Like that was the one thing that came out. I was like, that was your trivia. And
so
what's funny is it was copy and pasted basically because it was the same voice actors from the last season of the Clone Wars who also did the Polish dub of the Clone Wars. So
that doesn't
really
surprise
copy and
me.
pasted.
So what was your overall impression of the episode? Because I don't know this yet.
So I thought it was a huge, giant, stinking pile of awesome. It was really nice. I'm just kidding. I did.
Flight.
I know. I did
Kick
go
your
in.
ass.
I went in like with the lowest of low expectations because I was thinking in my brain, like when this first came out, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going to be that good, if this is just going to be another season of Clone Wars, basically, I was pleasantly just like surprised.
Because you weren't like super hyped for this.
No, I mean, this was a smash or a pass. Like it was either going to be really good or this was going to be like okay, I can just not watch this, like kind of thing. And like, which is kind of what I did with Star Wars Resistance. I just was like, I can't, it just wasn't for me. This does not seem like that at all. Like I felt like this had way more character, way more joy for me to watch, I guess, because I think it wasn't 100% like for children, I guess, which is what I enjoy about these. But like I said earlier, Dave Filoni was on Good Morning America today, and he talked about the fact that one of the things that he took away from George Lucas is that over everything that Star Wars is for kids.
Exactly.
And so that's what he thinks about when he makes the cartoons, is that no matter what, like before you have to service fans, before you have to do all this stuff, it's for kids. And I felt like this show at least balances that, which is hard to do because you don't want to be like too fan servicey, but you also don't want to be like so childish that you turn off the long term fans. So it was nice.
Incidentally, Smash and Pass is also my name among single men. No, I think that's right. It's definitely like something that I try to keep in mind when I'm watching it. It's something that really annoys me about fans who are like, oh, we miss the darker stuff.
Yeah.
We miss the more mature stuff. I was like,
do you?
It's not really in keeping with this particular franchise. Like, I understand, liking when it does, particularly when like the old comics and stuff would do these dark war stories, or when they do the horror stories. And some of them are actually even pretty interesting. Galaxy of Fear was interesting and for kids. It was basically their take on Goosebumps, but some of the stuff that people seem to want, I'm like, you got to remember the entire franchise overall is mainly geared toward kids.
Right.
Like it's meant to be for everybody. There really shouldn't be something that you look at it and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not gonna, show this to my kids.
Yeah, you're never gonna see like super explicit, like maybe a little bit of violence, but you're never gonna see any like sexual violence, or you're never gonna see like just terrible, awful adult things like in
This
Star
is
Wars.
this is not The Witcher.
Right.
Okay, guys. This
yes,
is not The Witcher.
That's a good example. You're never gonna see
this is not Warhammer 40K.
Right.
Like, you need to calm down with some of this stuff that you want, or it's a kids franchise. Now, that doesn't mean that adults can't get things out of it, and there can't be things in it for adults that will fly over the heads of the kids. A big one being, for me, the moment, there's a moment in the original Clone Wars series where like Anakin and Padme reunite, and then the next shot is like the light in their apartment window turning off. And so like it's implied that that's the moment where Luke and Leia are being conceived. And it totally flew over my head as a kid, but as an adult, I was like, I completely understand what's going on here. Like, moments like that are fine, but some of the stuff that people are like saying they want it to do this like dark thing, I'm like, maybe you're in the wrong franchise, guys.
Yeah, I don't really want dark, like, okay, when I think dark Star Wars,
dark themes and dark stories are not the same thing.
Right. Like, I like Rogue One is like the darkest I ever want Star Wars to get. Like, it was a real, kind of like war movie, but it wasn't like so dark that it was like everybody's getting their heads chopped off. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like super like terrible.
I will keep bringing up the fact that Death Troopers, the novel, was a thing that happened and was real.
Yes.
From now until the end of time. Gotcha. Because the concept of Death Troopers is so ridiculous that, and I love the book.
Yeah.
I love the novel, but I always bring it up as like, this is the most ridiculous thing. And Bad Batch does a great job of being a story with dark themes. That's really a fun adventure and a fun character study of these characters. So let's dive into our episode recap.
Yeah, let's get into the plot. So we're basically, I mean, I don't have like a summary or anything for this.
I have a fuckload of notes. So
okay. Well, here, let me just do like, let's say, what would you say the general story was? Like, I mean, I guess it was just kind of, the clones are finding themselves in this kind of post Order 66 world.
Well, there's a mystery going on as far as like who, like the programming that they have, like who's being programmed and who isn't. But we open, I have some notes that vaguely follow. We're not going to recap it to the same depth we did The Mandalorian, because otherwise we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
But we open on the logo for the Clone Wars burning away to reveal the Bad Batch. And not only that.
Oh, wait, did you see what happened before that?
I did not.
The Star Wars logo?
I did not catch anything new in the Star Wars logo. What did I miss in the Star Wars logo?
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't see this. Okay, so
I watched it twice too.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, you know how like when we talked about Mandalorian, they introduced the new Star Wars logo, like the
Right.
generic, like with the, I think it has the Mandalorian's face and like
It just flashes across some helmets and droids. It
Right.
looks really cool. I love it.
Well, they're all different in this one,
Really?
and they're
I
all
thought something was off.
and they're all stuff from the cartoons. So we see
Oh,
Chopper.
Lucasfilm Animation must have its own.
Well, we saw Chopper, we saw General Grievous, we saw I think it's a security droid's face or something from the Clone Wars. I mean, now I don't know what all of them were, but go back and watch it, and you're gonna be like,
Go back and watch. For episode 2, I'll make a note here. For episode 2, we're gonna note the characters that are in here.
Yeah, because I didn't write them down because I was too like, oh my god, there's General Grievous's face. They're finally acknowledging he exists, And aside from the movie,
General Grievous confirmed for Mandalorian season 3.
I literally say that to my friend all the time now. Anytime something random comes up, I'm always like, oh, that's gonna be a Mandalorian season 3. Oh, that's gonna be a Mandalorian season 3.
So not only do we open with the logo burning away, but we actually open with Tom Kane's narration.
Oh yeah, I thought that was cool.
It opens with the narration as if this was another episode
of
the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
and that was the coolest thing. But we also get over the narration a very accurate recreation of scenes from the Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was looking at it like, have I seen this before? Like, it was really weird.
Many times in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, because I saw Mace Windu and I was like, huh.
Well, those scenes are from the final season of the Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
But this also establishes that this is taking place after the rescue. But I just thought it was really cool that they animated a few shots from the Invisible Hand bridge sequence.
I wouldn't mind, honestly. I mean, I actually feel like they might actually end up doing this at some point. Is actually animating the movies, like shot for shot. Like I don't know why, but I feel like they would do it.
Fun thing. That sounds more like a fan project, something that the fans might do.
Yeah.
I do know someone.
It's so easy to, do computer animation now. I just feel like it wouldn't be that much of a challenge for them to do it.
I mean, it would, but that would be like kind of a fun fan project because I know fans have recreated scenes from the films in the Clone Wars style. It would be interesting to see someone do I know someone is doing one of the scenes from the story reels in Unreal Engine. I've been watching a lot of like Unreal Engine versions. There's a really awesome one. I don't know. Did I link this to you? The one of the final scene of Clone Wars that's recreated in a game engine and it looks really awesome.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay. I'll have to send it to you later on.
If it's not the scene in The Last Jedi where they're fighting with all the red, then I don't want it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the only good scene in Star Wars. No. So we open up on this final battle of the Clone Wars, and we have Depa Billaba, but then we also have a surprise appearance and surprise return of an actor when we get Caleb Doom portrayed once again by Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's all I wrote in my notes was Freddie Prinze Jr. is back.
I was shocked because when I watched the episode at first, it was so weird to hear adult Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice.
Yes.
Coming out of this teenager.
They kind of pitched it though a little, didn't they?
When I watched it the second time, I noticed that they pitched it. The first time I was just like, oh my God, that's Iron Bull again.
Yeah. I know. I actually thought the same thing. I thought about it. I was like, it sounds like I knew it was him, but I knew it sounded like slightly off. So I was like, okay, they must have pitched him down or at least tried to make him sound a little younger or something. Because
it's a little more high pitched. I think he might be doing it with his voice. I don't think it doesn't sound like it was altered.
Yeah.
Electronically, I think
you're right. He might have been just being like,
I'm
doing a lower voice.
I'm just so used to, because I play so much Dragon Age Inquisition and I've watched Rebels so much. I'm just used to his adult voice.
Right.
So it took me till the second viewing to be like, oh, he is pitching himself up slightly.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I love that he's in it. I did see that some people had issues with it because it directly conflicts what happens in the comic books.
So I researched this.
Because I
This
own
is
that
this is
comic
in my
book.
notes. This is in my notes. I don't. I've researched it, and it's kind of what I call canon-ish.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing as Cobb Vanth in Mando season 2. It's the same events told a slightly different way.
Yeah, I didn't think it was so drastically different that it would have like bothered me, but like I get why people were like, well, in the comic books they're sitting around a campfire and then they sneak up on them and they try to attack them. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay,
They
whatever.
nailed the important details of
Yes.
that moment,
Right.
which are her last words being to run away.
Hmm.
And they nailed, the emotional impact and all that, but it's one of those things where I'm like, when you have a big sprawling mythology like this, you're going to have things that conflict.
Yeah.
When you have the same story told in different mediums, they're going to conflict with each other. There's people who's mad that Ahsoka's lightsabers in the Ahsoka novel are green, and in the final Clone Wars show, it's season and it's blue. They're blue in that show.
I
So
mean, yeah, that stuff is silly to me because I'm like, okay, her lightsabers could be fucking rainbow, people. Like, relax. Like, it doesn't
you
matter.
pick whatever version of events you
That you
like.
like, yeah.
I always say Star Wars is a mythology and not a history. And when you get a mythology, you are going to have versions of the story that conflict with each other. And that's fine. You take the mythology as a whole
Right.
and you examine it as a whole, and you tell things in a way that works for the specific story that you're telling. Dave Filoni has never been shy about the fact that he will be, respectful of other things.
Yeah.
But him and Jon Favreau and them are not afraid to go in and change something slightly
Right.
to better fit the story. And the interaction between Hunter and Crosshair and Caleb in this episode does a good job of factoring into the Bad Batch's story. And that was the intention here.
Yeah, I kind of liked how Kanan kind of, or well, I guess he was Caleb in this, how he is essentially the MacGuffin of moving the plot forward, like in terms of how we separate, the group a little bit.
And we know that we're not going to see him again in the rest of the show.
Right, which is fine with me. I actually don't want to see him anymore because that one leads for, if they do want to randomly just make a show about young Kanan, then great, make a show about young Kanan. But if they don't, that's okay. We already know the story. We know
we already know what
up.
happens, and we have the comics, and we have Rebel. It's not Rebel Rising. A New Dawn. A New Dawn is the one with him and Hera. So like we have all this. Yeah. I thought as far as this introductory scene goes, it was good for introducing the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
It showed off what each one of them can do.
Right.
Now, the first time I watched it, I remember being very confused by the Crosshair stuff. But then that's the central mystery of the episode, is to be confused by that stuff. Why is he shooting at Caleb when the rest of the clones clearly do not know what Order 66 is and are not complying with the directive?
Yeah, I thought that was weird because, they do establish, I guess it's in the Clone Wars episodes where they're like, these guys don't follow the rules, right? They are messed up, right? They are genetically messed up, so they can't follow the rules the same way.
We do explain also later in the episode, Tech has a bit where he just flat out explains to the audience, here's why that we don't have the same inhibitors as everyone else, is because we're so messed up. And then Echo got his brain experimented on by the Techno Union.
Yeah, I really like that they are kind of setting this up, or I guess the whole episode is setting Crosshair up to be that, obvious main antagonist, I guess.
At least for season 1. Now we'll get to that later on in the episode, but I can say this now. I haven't told you this, Bradley, because we try to keep you as unspoiled.
Okay, don't. What is it?
It it was actually revealed by what else? Toy packaging a few weeks ago that
No.
Crosshair was going to defect from
No.
the Bad Batch to the Empire. So I've known this for several weeks.
No. Or what does Vader do? No.
Oh
Sorry, I had to
Lord.
pitch that up. Um,
Pitch it up, pitch it down.
pitch it down. Sorry.
Lot of pitching going
Yeah, a
on
lot
here.
of voice pitching in this.
Lot of pitching going on here.
No, I mean, even if the trailer didn't, kind of make it obvious, like his attitude made it obvious, like throughout the episode. So I was kind
Yeah,
of like,
it's one of those you can kind of tell, like looking at the character. Oh, this is might as well do it now in the pilot episode and not pretend it's going to be a big twist later on.
I actually kind of like that. I kind of like how they kind of they were like, no, this is the plot of the first episode. Yeah, it's not the plot of the whole entire show. Like, he's not gonna like secretly be evil the whole time and like, blah blah blah. Nope, he's just evil in the first one and then call it a day.
Like, well, it's also setting up he's gonna chase them around
right
the galaxy kind of deal.
Absolutely.
So anything else on the first scene before we move on?
Keep going. Nope.
So we fly back to Camino. There's a lot of Camino this episode, which is good because I love Camino.
I do too.
As a location. We are shocked to discover that the Coruscant Guard is on Camino, previously seen in Revenge of the Sith and also in the Clone Wars. And they also have a bit where a Jedi is rolled past and their lightsaber drops.
What?
Now, I want to talk about this lightsaber for a minute because this was a solid 15, 20 minutes of my morning.
Okay, so is this important?
No.
Other than just...
No, except for me to complain that I spent a lot of time on this.
Oh, okay.
I have exhaustively researched lightsabers all morning
thought it was important
to determine whose lightsaber that was.
Gotcha.
That was dropped out of somebody's hand. There's no trivia for it anywhere.
Okay.
I compared images of Shaak Ti's lightsaber, and all I can definitively say after about 15, 20 minutes of research is the lightsaber does not belong to Shaak Ti. I don't know who this Jedi is. I was looking at their hand, like I freeze framed it, and I was looking at their hand to try to determine, have I seen this alien Jedi before?
So it's probably, realistically, it's no one.
Unrealistically, it's no one we know, but like...
Unrealistically, it's Kit Fisto.
Well, Kit Fit...
I know, I'm just kidding.
Well, the reason I went looking for Shaak Ti was originally my brain went, isn't she supposed to die in the Jedi Temple? Wouldn't this contradict? So then I was Googling like Shaak Ti lightsaber, looking at the lightsaber. I was like Jedi on Camino.
Well, that's what I was thinking. They're on Camino. So
I was looking at the list of...
I don't think there's really anybody on Camino, right?
So the untrivia fact is I have no fucking idea who this lightsaber belongs to. And I've exhaustively researched and still can't determine who this belongs to. So if you in the audience know who this lightsaber belongs to, leave a comment on our Instagram or our Twitter account and tell me the obvious solution to this that I'm missing because I'm a top and therefore a moron.
The audience is yelling, "It's blah, 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 you idiot. It was so obvious."
So obvious the whole time. How do you not minutely know the details of every lightsaber?
No, I want some Star Wars nerd to be like, well, if you read the comic book series from 1987 and on page 36.
I am that nerd. I am that nerd, incidentally. I am normally that nerd.
Right. LOL. Anyway, so it's a nobody's lightsaber.
It's nobody's lightsaber. That's the big trivia thing.
Gotcha.
From this scene. So we have a little scene with them in the room. There's some impressive animation going on with the glass. I mean, so far, Camino, up until the next scene we're going to talk about, these two scenes right here, do you have any specific thoughts or notes you took on them?
No. I literally have 3 notes for the whole episode.
Okay, because I've
because
got a lot of
no,
notes.
because I was genuinely just enjoying it. I was watching it like, oh wow, this is so fun. And like I wasn't really thinking like in my brain, I wasn't going like, oh, I need to write that down. I was going like, wow, that was cool. Oh, I like that. Oh, that was fun. Like that was what I'm saying in my
We
head. So
I have a lot of notes like that. They're just like, oh, this is fun. This is fun. Like once we get into the action scenes, I just have good action scene written
oh yeah,
down in my
no.
notes.
Yeah, keep it going. Keep it coming. Keep throwing them at me.
Keep throwing them at you. Keep throwing. Like I said, there's a lot of pitching going on.
Yeah.
Pitching non-trivia facts at your head. So we get past that scene, then we get to one of my favorite scenes in the episode, which is the broadcast of the Emperor's speech.
Yes, I like that one because it was direct quotes.
Yeah, Ian McDermott is actually credited
Yeah.
as the voice of Palpatine in this episode. So, like with Clone Wars, they just used his audio.
Right. Which I'm fine with because I was like, oh, that's the part where he says that. That's the part where he says that. Like I was like, oh, that's why they are in the speech. Like, but it was making me, it was giving me flashbacks for some reason. I don't know why, but it was making me think of The Force Awakens, and it's where
That's exactly what I thought. See, it's like poetry; it rhymes.
yeah, because he's doing the speech, and I was like, he's like, it's like the First Order, like and I was like, wait, not the First Order, like this is totally different. What is happening? And then he said Galactic Empire, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, obviously this is for before that.
This is the fascism that the fascist fanboy
Right.
in Force Awakens is trying to emulate.
Yeah. No,
I did like. I was waiting. I was like, they're gonna pump their fists at some point. They're gonna pump their fists when he says the thing, and then they do. And I was like, oh, that's a reference to Force Awakens. But what I really liked was when he announces it and the Imperial March just starts blaring.
Yeah, I almost wish that when they did that, they did the when they did the Imperial March, I was kind of hoping they were going to do it in the same way that they did it in Solo, where it was diegetic sound. Because I don't know, I felt like when I watched it here, it was more like just for us, like it was just audio.
Well, the Empire has also been around for like 5 minutes at this point.
Right.
Less than five minutes.
But you know how in Solo they do that?
The song yet.
I know, but you know how in Solo they do that and they play it and it's like you're like, oh, it's an actual anthem. Like they have it like it's a real like in universe like musical sound that they use.
I just thought the use of it in the scene, like the moment the Empire is born, playing that, just blasting here at the epicenter of it, of the reality of it. I believe it's a different cue in Revenge of the Sith when it's in the Senate and it's being pitched on one thing, but here on Camino with the soldiers, that's going to be the real Empire playing the actual Imperial theme.
Right.
Just makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. And then it actually gives more context to I need to go back and watch the scene in Revenge of the Sith because now I want to be like, okay, I want to watch the same Palpatine scene, but then with this scene in mind happening literally at the same time. Like I want to be like thinking in my brain, like, okay, watching their reactions as that scene's happening. Like I want to try to like time them up and like watch them. Have
you seen the Order 66 compilations that they're now going to have to go back and redo again?
Oh, yeah. I tried to watch those. Like it's kind of hard.
I've seen those, and I've also seen ones where they put the Jedi meeting scene in Clone Wars next to the one in Revenge of the Sith to do comparison of them. I think they're going to do the same thing. There's going to be YouTube compilations up within the day of.
I'm sure there is right now if I were to look it up.
Yes, I haven't had a lot of time to do other Star Wars related things today, despite it being May 4th, because I basically woke up, watched the episode again, took notes, updated the social media, and then we started recording this.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I was so funny because I totally forgot, like, oh yeah, they actually are going to be dropping stuff today. And I was like, I lost out on like, all this stuff. I was like, what the heck? I'm thank God I remembered some of it because I was like, oh, I need to, get the Bounty Hunter Collection Funko or whatever that was on GameStop today. I need to get the whatever. Like, I was like, oh shit.
I forgot they were doing this. Mad that I am so mad that I can't financially justify dropping $75 on Star Wars Legos so I can get the Tatooine homestead. I'm wavering back and forth on whether or not I want to get Squadrons. It's $20 on Origin right now.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see if Charles ends up buying something for May the 4th. I can always buy the Lego off of eBay later.
That's true. Yeah, save your money now since you don't have a job.
Yeah, this is my job.
Right, you gotta focus. Anyway,
This is my job. This is where I would drop the Patreon if we had one.
Right. Yeah, give us money.
Give me money. Give me money so I can support my Star Wars Lego habit, which is totally no. If and possibly when we begin looking into things like that, I will spend them on responsible things, and definitely not just on Star Wars Legos.
Of course.
This is not a giant grift to expand my Star Wars Lego collection.
It's a scam.
And speaking of blatant lies,
yes.
So the scene that we'd watched, no, it was good, and it tied it in really well.
Yep.
You know, I love tie-ins to Revenge of the Sith, and then we move on. It also introduces our new main character for the show, who we then meet again in the next scene, which is, now I've been saying Omega.
Yes.
They pronounce it Omega in the show.
Do they?
I think they pronounce it Omega.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. I thought it was Omega. I was just 100% like, oh, it's Omega.
I think they say Omega in the show.
Okay, I'll need to watch it again. Or is that just like the Kaminoan accent? You know?
It might be. What did you think of Omega, our new character that's introduced?
So in the trailers and stuff watching, I was like, ew. Like, I don't like this. Like, I don't like this kid character. I think that is the worst decision, blah, 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 blah. That being said, after our episode where we talk about the trailer, and then after my little crazy fan theory about who she is and why she's important, and then watching this episode and hearing her super thick Australian accent, and then them confirming that she is in fact a clone, I was like, well, I guess my theory is correct.
And there is revelations as well. Well, I won't say revelations. I have a theory. I have a big theory about Omega that I just came up with while I was watching the episode.
Me too. There's a part, I was like, there's a part where I came up with it. I don't know what part it was at. It was kind of towards the end when they're escaping. So I don't know if you want to say.
I can tell you exactly where my brain went, and then my brain went, oh yeah, this is where they're going. I liked her. I think she harkens back to Ahsoka and Rey.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely getting young Ahsoka vibes.
Yeah, where she's, a new female character. Mm-hmm. For, the younger girls who are going to be watching this,
right?
Which is really neat. The hyper competent kid is kind of a Star Wars trope at this point. Well, with Anakin, Luke,
Ezra,
Ahsoka, Rey. I guess Rey's not really a kid.
No, but I bet she kind of
the idea of these characters that are like, I don't want to say power fantasy. It's a fantasy for kids.
Yeah.
To come along on these adventures and also be cool. And I think there's enough. She makes enough mistakes over the course of the episode and things that I'm like, yeah, she's a decently written character.
Yeah, I like her a lot. Well, I enjoy her. I guess the part about her I enjoy is what I think she's important for.
Yes.
And maybe that's just my headcanon, and that's just making it be a little bit more enjoyable for me to watch, but I like it because it's, this makes me think of. Did you ever watch? I know you hate him, but did you ever watch American Horror Story season 3, which was The Witches?
You mean the only good season?
Okay, yeah. So, fun little quick story before, I don't want to go too much into this because we have a lot to do, but
we're making good time considering how much there is to cover.
So, when I was in college, Coven came out, and I was in a dorm at that time, And this is before I went to the school that we went to. And
yeah, I was about to say.
So I went to another school for 1 year before I went to that school. And
Bradley backstory, deep lore.
Right. And I was in the dorm rooms there. And all my friends, that we were all in the same building, every night that American Horror Story was on, we would all get together in one of the they had these little meeting rooms in the dorms that you could like put up PowerPoints on the TV, but all the TVs had cable. So we would all go in there and watch American Horror Story together. And the best part about season 3 was that you didn't know who the Supreme was, right? During the whole season, the mystery of the season was who is the Supreme. So every week we would be like, oh, what's the mystery? Like, who's the Supreme, right? So like, which character is really the Supreme? Which one's more important? And so that was giving me flashbacks to this, like, why is this character important? Like, what is the mystery of like why they're important, kind of thing. And so that's
the Supreme should have been Misty Day, by the way. It is like I liked Cordelia, and it's fine. Yeah. It made narrative sense, but I personally was pulling for Misty Day.
Okay. Well, anyway,
not to get into that discourse.
Right. I don't want to get too much into American.
That could be an episode all on its own. No, I like her, and we're going to note a little bit later on. She's useful to the group without solving all of their problems, and she makes enough mistakes that she's not perfect.
Who's like knowledgeable in like military law. Like, it's kind of like one of those, like, he probably is a lawyer, like a civilian lawyer, but he's also like a military lawyer. So he understands these things, but then he's also just in the military. Like, he's just a military guy.
I need to reread Tarkin, and so I can remember exactly what his backstory is beyond the vague bits of it that I remember.
Right.
Yeah, because he serves as the prosecutor in the trial, and then Padme is Ahsoka's defense, which opens up a lot of questions about who can practice space law that we're not really going to get into.
Yeah, I was going to say anybody. I'm going to have an Ewok represent me, sir. No, okay. Anyway, moving on.
But just know, this is my shit. And I would watch. I'm not doing myself any favors for eventually trying to like pitch Lucasfilm to hire me as a writer by saying this, but I would in fact watch or read an entire book about space law.
Just space law. Nothing else. I don't need anything else.
We move on to a scene in the cafeteria where a fight breaks out. This is where I have noted that I too, when I saw the trailers, was like, oh my God, they're bringing in this kid who's just going to be like best friends with the clones immediately, and it's going to be a whole thing.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. I noted on here that I really wanted to dislike her, but I can't.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, I really thought like, oh, I'm going to hate this girl. Like, I think she's going to be like that jokey thing that they put in the show. It's almost like putting Jar Jar in, the episodes of the Clone Wars. Like, it was kind of like we have to have like a silly little, still be kids. Like, but
just like Jar Jar in the Clone Wars, it genuinely surprised me with how much I enjoyed it.
Right. And because they switch it on you, because they go, oh, look, we're putting Jar Jar in here and it's going to be funny and it's going to be like silly. But then it's like, oh, just kidding. We actually have a real story to tell.
Just kidding. I actually care about this person now.
Yes.
A bar fight. I just said a bar fight. A cafeteria fight breaks out. I'm sure we'll see a bar fight at some point in the series. Mm-hmm. A cafeteria fight breaks out. Echo sees Tarkin and gets conked over the head, and then freaks out when he wakes up, which is a lot of good insight into Echo if you haven't seen the Clone Wars. Mm. And then we get a new temporary character of AZI, and then like a string of like 14 numbers, which I thought was the most hilarious thing.
Well, so I didn't know this until I had gone on the internet after, but that's the same droid that helps Echo or whatever figure out that they all have the chips in their brain from the Clone Wars. Or Fives
figure it out.
That's what it is.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
so Bradley, it turns out you had some trivia after all.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank you, Instagram Star Wars memes, because I was like, Or actually, no, you know where I found that out? In my TV Time app. So if you don't already have this, it's called TV Time, and it just lets me keep track of episodes that I'm
This
on.
is not a paid promotional, by the way. He just really likes this app.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I don't want to. Oh shoot, I shouldn't have said the name. Whatever. They get a free advertisement for the day.
TV Time. If you want to pay us, the email is open. It's right there. I
Yes.
love money.
So AZI345 whatever is the same droid that helped Fives uncover
3.14159.
that helped him uncover the inhibitor chips. And I was like, because that was what somebody posted on the comment section. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. That's so cute. I totally forgot about that silly character from that one episode. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't. I haven't rewatched the Clone Wars in a long time, so I just
It's one of those things. It's like I'm planning. The last time I did the massive rewatch was in 2019. Was, I believe, when Rise of Skywalker came out. Was December 2019. Yes, it was. It was. So I did a rewatch then. I'm thinking maybe the end of 2022, I'll pick another several month period and do a huge chronological rewatch.
Right.
And those are the things that I might appreciate.
Yeah, going back and seeing that stuff.
Going back and seeing it again.
Can we talk about what he said though to them? My favorite part is where he says, he's like, you all appear to be genetically defective clones. He's like, I'm gonna leave you to process the shock of this revelation. Like, and they're all just like, yeah, we know.
Gonna add that to my vernacular whenever I'm at brunch and somebody drops some tea that everybody already knows.
Mm-hmm.
I say, I'll leave you to process the shock of this revelation.
Right.
So we get another little bit with Omega and the Bad Batch, and it's not really ever explained in the episode why she's suddenly so like enamored with the Bad Batch and she really wants to like leave with them. I'm guessing we're probably going to get some more of that on screen as the series unfolds, probably because as a genetically modified clone herself, she feels some kinship with them. But I suspect it's never really outright stated in the episode, and I suspect it's going to be a thing that's going to come up later on.
So that's what I was trying to remember what you just said, because I literally was thinking in my brain, like, I know what I want to say next. So I like you said, she kind of is infatuated with them in a weird way. And then there's little things that happen in the episode. I don't know specifically when they happen, but there's parts where she's with them and she literally, if you watch her, she physically mimics Hunter's movements. Like she does the exact
I didn't even notice that. That
motions.
is the coolest thing.
It may be when they're like sneaking around later on, but there's a part where like Hunter is moving, like he's leading the group, and then she's following him, and he turns and he like bends his arm a certain way or something, like in a, you know, kind of like a follow me kind of way, and she literally just copies his exact like movements. It's really
well when I rewatch it again for the 14,000th time.
Right.
I watched it twice, and it is at time of recording been out for 15 hours.
Right.
That is, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's really weird. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. Like maybe like I think it could just be like like, you know how like little kids like to watch, you know, adults and copy what they do because they just want to be like them, you know, they're just like whatever. I think it might be a similar situation here where she sees them as, like you said, genetically modified. So she knows that she is genetically modified in some way, and she's like, oh, we're like the same. So I want to be just like them. Like I want to, you know, I want to do the same things they do because they're cool. Like, you know.
We will get into my theory in a few scenes of what that genetic modification actually is.
Okay, well, let's keep going. I want to know what they all are.
So the next scene we get is an extended sequence in the training facility where Tarkin is testing them. Mm-hmm. It's a very long sequence. It's a very good sequence. I don't have a lot of notes for it. I only have 3.
Okay.
The action is good.
Yes.
I was excited to see the prototype Dark Troopers, and Tarkin scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, he kind of really like I love how Lama Su or whatever was like, hey, you're gonna like damage my product. Like, don't like mess up my shit. Like, and he's like, we'll pay you. It's fine.
We'll pay you. Just Do what I tell
Do
you.
what I tell you to do.
Like, you get the sense of you get the sense of this is the guy who is going to commit the biggest war crime in galactic history
Yeah.
in 18 years. So it definitely comes across, that sort of characterization comes across like he's a genuinely scary person,
Yeah.
and Stephen Stanton's wonderful voice acting, you know, bringing across Peter Cushing's terrifying presence
Yeah.
in A New Hope. He's such a good antagonist. I love him so much. He's also the main antagonist of A New Hope, and that's the hill I will die on. But that is a rant for another time.
Right. And I also I thought it was weird too. I was like, why is he listening to him other than the fact that he is a client? Like I was, you know what I mean? Like, is it the same kind of situation where it's like he's trying to respect him because he's a paying customer, or is it like because Camino's not in the inner rim, right? Like it's not a part of the
You've
Republic.
had to deal with. I'm sure in your line of work, I've had to deal with this in mine, but I'm sure you've had to deal with clients before. You know how you have to talk to them.
Right.
You can't just tell them no.
That's true. I guess it's kind of like, well, I work sometimes with talent was what we'll say, not clients. I work with talent, and yes, the talent always is correct. So regardless of if they are actually correct or not, so it depends. You just kind of have to make them happy. So it just, I get it.
Talent might be a bit of a stretch, but we won't go
Well,
there.
that's what we in the biz call it.
That's what I know. That's what we call them, but whether or not that is a correct indicator.
Yeah.
So the next thing we have is we have a sequence with the Kaminoans and Tarkin where he says he's going to test them. We get the explanation that there's 5 genetically modified clones. This will come up later.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says he's going to test their loyalty. And then he goes in and talks to them and tells them to hunt down insurgents. I did like how they all snap to attention when he enters.
Yeah.
It's the only time we see them do that. And it speaks to how absolutely terrifying Tarkin is as a presence. That they're acting like normal soldiers.
Normal soldiers, yeah, to like their commander in chief or something like that. Like it's like very like, oh, that's the big guy. Like that's the guy that our leaders listen to. So like we need to make
yes.
it.
Yeah. Especially, Echo knowing who he is from the Citadel arc.
Mm-hmm.
The Bad Batch prepares to leave. Omega has a scene with Hunter. Now, our Instagram account posted a meme about your 5 space dads. I got the vibe more that Hunter is like your cool uncle.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird because like but I can see the father kind of figure-esque like thing that they're going to start kind of trying to go for here.
It's not exactly the same thing as The Mandalorian, where it's like grumpy senior, or like grumpy single dad raising a baby on its own. It's more of a going off on space adventures with your cool uncle because your parents suck,
or
kind of vibe. And
or your parents died.
I like. Well, yeah, but hopefully, in reality, there's less of that than happens in the Star Wars universe.
Well, if you think about it, any and all clones will have daddy issues because that's all they have is a daddy. One single father.
Single father. Not a lot of them.
No
What's
mother.
That line from Droid Tales? There's not many girls in our adventures. We need to fix that next time.
Right.
This is a great line.
I love that.
But we fly out to
someplace.
Fly out to Onderon.
Is it Onderon?
It is Onderon.
Oh, okay.
That they fly to. Famously, a reference to Knights of the Old Republic 2 that came back for the Clone Wars to hunt down insurgents, which we discover, shock horror twist, are at least 50% refugees.
Oh no. Not the humans.
Who could have seen that coming?
I know. Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was like, in what reality did they think that these were going to be like separatist droids? Like, no, I think what they would know from just battling these things for years, right, is that once the command to shut down is sent out, like they do not function anymore. Like they're not going to.
And they know that the war is over.
Right. So
I don't know why they didn't put together earlier that, oh, it's not gonna be droids that we're fighting.
Because even the droids are following, they follow the rules of, the engagement, right?
Now, we do discover in Rebels that there's at least one cell of the Separatist droids that thought the Order was a trick and refused to shut down.
That's
so it's
true.
not beyond the realm of possibility that it could have been droids.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah. But that was just like a really smart droid, though. That was like, I'm going to not listen.
Tactical droids.
Yeah, one of the tactical droids. He's like, this is a tactic. This is not a da-da-da-da. So
this is a lie.
Right.
And we get a little scene here with Saw Gerrera, somewhere in between his original model in the Clone Wars, slowly morphing into Forrest Whitaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought he was. Did you think this was a bit random?
I did think it was a bit. Like, anytime Saw shows up in things, I'm like, oh, neat, that's Saw Gerrera. He has this habit, because he did this in Fallen Order 2, of showing up in things for like 5 minutes to go, here's Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
And then disappearing. Like, I liked when he showed up in Rebels because there was actually a reason for him to be there.
Right.
There was conflict with the morality. Both here in Fallen Order, he just kind of shows up here to be a rebel guy.
Yeah, because the way I saw it, I was like, he's not going to be in the rest of this show. Like, I was like, they were doing this for just this episode. Like,
just this episode.
Or at least that's the vibe that I'm getting. Like,
it's one of those, if you're going to put somebody in there, it might as well use somebody that's established, but it seems like it's Saw Gerrera more so than most people.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel like it was the right person for that thing, because I think the problem with Saw Gerrera is that he's supposed to be like this radical, kind of rebel, right? And so
maybe this is pre-radicalization, because it's
before Rebels.
Coming off the back of Clone Wars. It's like 10 minutes after the Clone Wars ended.
That's true. I don't know.
It's possible that
maybe.
It might be before. Like, we're seeing the start of the Partisans.
Yeah.
Clearly. It's interesting because there's some illusion that he's already in contact with Mon Mothma and Bail Organa.
Okay.
We also get a lovely allusion to Steela, when he talks about all the people they've lost, and the tone in the voice actor's voice is so apparent that he's talking about Steela, whose loss would have still been very fresh to him.
Yeah, his sister. Or it's his sister, right?
It's his sister.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I was kind of disappointed, if we were going to see Saw, we didn't get to see face mask breathy man. I don't know what his name is, but he's in Rogue One.
Two Tubes. I don't think Two Tubes comes in. This is the very early Partisan, so this is him leaving Onderon.
I like Two Tubes, though.
Yeah. I mean, I just to form the Parms. I don't know how to talk on this show.
And then doesn't Two Tubes have a brother, too? I think he's called 3 Tubes.
4 Tubes. There was a 1 Tubes, but...
No, he was in something else. Like, it was... What was he in?
We don't talk about him.
Because he was in... So, 2 Tubes is in Rogue One, but then his brother is in something else. Like, somebody was like...
I would have to check all this.
They were like, it's not 2 Tubes, it's his brother. And then it was like, then they're going to meet each other at Saw Gerrera's or whatever. Some bullshit. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. We get Saw Gerrera, and then he's like, don't kill me. And then he's like, okay. And then they leave.
Yeah, Onderon was really fast. Like, I expected Onderon to be its own episode, but here it's like they go to Onderon, they have the scene with Saw Gerrera, and then they leave.
Yeah, they're just like, bye.
Now there is a probe droid that has been monitoring them. Mm-hmm. We get our obligatory probe droid appearance. And then it gets shot, because that always happens to probe droids.
Always get shot.
Probe droids.
Right.
And it is also here revealed that Omega is an enhanced clone, coming as a shock to no one.
Right.
But following up on the 5 enhanced clones, but Echo is a reg.
Yeah, that was really weird too. This is the part where they say that, right? Like where they were like,
This is the part when they're getting ready to board the ship. They're like, "Oh, she's a clone."
right,
There's five altered
genetically.
clones because Tarkin then mentions to them there's five altered clones.
I see.
But then they're like, "Oh, but Echo is a reg."
Right. Which again, I'm like, is he though? Like, I don't know. I they were kind of playing fast and loose with like the rules
They
there,
still
but
consider him
right.
like a lot of this show. There's two central themes that seem to be underlining the show. One of them is the programming,
Yeah.
like free will and having free will, and
Right. Like
what
how
does
it
it
all
mean
works.
to have free
Yeah.
will in a society, an organization that's about conformity. And then the other one is identity. They make a big deal about, Echo's a reg and he's different from them, but they never treat him as different from them.
Yeah.
There's never a point where anyone in the show, at least in the pilot episode, goes, well, you don't understand this because you're a reg. Clearly, they acknowledge, he's coming into this with a different set of experiences, but it's a set of experiences that everybody can at least sympathize or even empathize with, and he can do the same with them.
Exactly.
Jump back to Camino,
Mm-hmm.
with Amiga and AZI doing a research assignment.
Nice.
I also love research assignments. And then we get a photo that Hunter's been keeping.
Yeah, that was weird.
Of them, which was clearly taken right after the mission in Clone Wars because Echo's still wearing his old armor.
Gotcha. I thought that was funny. It was like, why do we have a family photo? But okay, moving on.
And then shock horror, a clone shows up, a shock trooper shows up and kills the droid.
That was so sad. I thought, I genuinely thought, like, with this scene, I was like, oh, he's going to be our new Chopper. He's going to be our new R2D2. He's our new BB-8. He's our new Dio.
There's always a droid.
Right. There's always a droid in the show, right? So I was like, he's the droid of this show. Nope.
Shot, killed.
Bye.
And they even have the lights fading out to confirm that...
to confirm he's dead. Yeah.
He's dead.
They
might bring him back and reprogram him, but I was so mad when that happened.
Yeah, because that's my thing, right? Like I love the droids for each like little what I call mini franchise is what I call it. So it's like there's the droid in Solo, there's the droid in Rogue One, there's the droid in Rebels, there's the droid in the new franchise, and there's the droids from the old franchise. So they all have like their own little place like in each show, and I have my little shelf where I have my Black Series figures of all the main robots is what So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a new, Black Series, like a new little flying, whatever his name is. And then, nope, just kidding. He's not a part of the group anymore.
When Bradley and I are able to visit either Disneyland or Disney World at the same time, we will have to acquire a droid character for Gold Squadron Gaze.
Right.
A pink and gold droid.
We have to make our own, yeah.
Sit in the background. Obviously, I'm going to make my own for me, but we need to also get one for the show.
Oh, gosh.
It's not a real Star Wars show until you have a droid mascot.
Of course.
The clones return to Camino and are immediately captured because what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
And are thrown in the brig. And I want to pause here for a moment about the quality of the episode and the content of the episode.
Okay.
I want to talk about how stacked these clones are.
Well, at least Wrecker is.
Wrecker is, but they all kind of are.
What's weird about this too is that you have to think like they're all clones, right? So they're all technically exactly the same. Now we do know that this group is slightly different, but only in terms of skills, not physicality, right? So that means they all like have to do the same amount of working out, the same amount of whatever to maintain or to keep their bodies at a certain level, right? So why is Wrecker 10 times bigger than every other?
Do you really care?
I do. I think he works out a lot.
I also think they all work out a lot, and it's clearly quite evident.
Or is it? Do they even work out, or do they need to because of the genetic modifying?
They clearly do because Wrecker shoulder presses a gonk droid at one point in Clone Wars, so he's got the muscle memory. Clearly, he does.
Okay.
I think this needs to be one of the gay Halloween costumes this year. Is Sexy Bad Batch
Oh God. You know
We're
what?
gonna
There's
we're
gonna be
gonna have Scarlet Witch because WandaVision came out.
right.
Every bottom in the world is gonna
God damn it.
do Scarlet Witch.
No, I already
I said
know.
this for a particular reason, and you will see come October why I mentioned that. But I also think that sexy Bad Batch in their
Now,
jumpsuits
now
needs
that
to
you
be
say that, so I had a friend who did sexy stormtrooper for I want to say for Dragon Con one year down here in Atlanta. And so he literally wore like white, underwear legging things, right, or whatever, to cover up his bottom half, and then a stormtrooper mask, and that was it. So that's what I'm feeling is what this Bad Batch thing. I know there's a group of gays out there, some muscle gays, who are all gonna go, let's
exactly.
all get like helmets that all look different like each of the characters, and then we're all just gonna be Bad Batch, sexy Bad Batch.
Here you go. Here you go, muscle gaze. You don't have anything from WandaVision that you can do. Here's something you can do.
Right,
You could
perfect.
all be sexy Bad Batch.
All five of you.
All five of you. Because you come in groups of five. We know you come in groups of five.
Right.
We also get a little bit of a more of a clue as to Crosshair's. And I bring this up here because I noted it here, but he mentioned it in the opening scene and he mentioned it a few other times.
Mm-hmm.
The good soldiers follow orders mantra.
Okay.
That's our clue if you've seen the Clone Wars, what will be revealed in the next scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
They've been
he said it early on in the episode, and I was like, that is from something. Like I knew it. Like I was like, I remember this.
Yeah, it's from the final season of the Clone Wars. And I think it's mentioned in season 6 of the Clone Wars as well. The good soldiers follow orders mantra, which the clones repeat to justify shooting the Jedi. So there's our clue as to what will be revealed later on in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a scene with Omega and Crosshair. And I want to say this is the moment where the theory began to form in my brain. Okay. When she's like, I know what you're going to do. Don't do it.
So, yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, why does she know that?
That, Detective Spooner, is the right question.
Does she have she either has some kind of cognitive, like she just knows, or she can understand Order 66 but not have to listen to it?
We'll get to what I think is going on here. I just want to mention this is the moment where it took root in my brain.
This is where you saw it.
This is the moment where I went.
I'll remember that for when we get there. Interesting.
The Crosshair is taken away, and we learn that unlike the other clones, Crosshair's inhibitor chip does seem to be functioning.
Interesting.
And not only that, Tarkin increases the obedience in it. Clearly, they're setting it up to have Crosshair rejoin the team later. This is a good way to absolve him. I would have preferred it if it had been his own conscious choice, but since one of the themes of the show is programming, it is a way to absolve him of everything he's going to do over the course of the series. That he was literally mind controlled or mind
it's not his
manipulated into doing it.
He's gonna have to be forced to do something, i.e. kill his brothers or something, and he's gonna like try to fight it as much as he possibly can, like right before it's too late, and then he'll break the spell essentially and be like, oh, okay, I'm good now, and then absolving him of his kind of mind control.
They clearly want Bad Batch to be a multi-season show.
Yeah.
Based on some of the things that they're saying. So, like, it would make sense to bring him back around with the team at the end of the first. Like, he's the antagonist of the first season.
Right.
And
that's what I wrote down. Yeah.
They'll bring in bigger bads over time. It'll be a whole thing.
Yeah, I wrote that down because I wrote down like them turning him into this mind control kind of cyborg essentially is like them setting up, okay, he is the main antagonist of the show. He's not the villain, but he's the antagonist trying to like stop them, at all times.
Right. And I feel like it's not so much mind controlled as they are pumping up the emotion, the stuff that was already there. So he naturally has already got this obedience programming in him.
Right.
They're just upping that. It's going to be interesting to see where they go with him from here.
Yeah, I hope they don't go too far with it because, I also feel like in the one sense they could also do the opposite, which is have him go too far and then be like, oh, he's not redeemable, and then therefore
I
he
don't think they
die at the
will.
end.
I don't think they'll go there. But just if he had made the conscious choice to turn on them,
Yeah.
I might could go that way. But Star Wars redemption is a big theme of it.
Mhm.
Like it's a
I,
huge theme of the franchise.
that's
So
true. I mean, I just
it's gonna
see
play
them.
into it.
I see them. I could see them doing like, oh, he's gonna die at the end. Like, to be like, oh, I was doing all these horrible things, even though it wasn't my fault, but I still did them. So the only way I can repent is by killing myself, like, or saving or
Or
sacrificing myself.
sacrificing myself.
Right.
Star Wars does not go that dark.
Right. So we'll see. I don't know.
So we jump back to our clone friends. I want to point out Tech's leg bounce, that
Okay.
they animate him bouncing his leg as he sits idle.
Okay.
And as you can probably, this episode is not being video recorded, but Bradley can see in the Zoom call from my chair shaking.
Yeah.
I also do that. So I loved that little touch to him,
right.
because
that
I
nervous
do
tick.
the same thing, the restless leg syndrome.
Right. It's like that nervous tick.
It is. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay.
We get the scene where they pull open the wall panel and Omega sneaks inside, and the clones are doing their stall the shock troopers. I just love these scenes with their personalities. I love their personalities so much.
I do like how they are different enough to distinguish them, because I do feel like this show could have fell into one of those, well, they all look like just vaguely different, but they all have the same personality. You know what I mean? Like there's the hothead, there's the, the nerdy one, there's the whatever. But this one actually, like, I distinguish them all very well. Like I don't have a problem with it.
It's like very good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles media.
Yeah.
Where they look kind of similar, but their personalities are so distinct, and when they're written well,
right,
they interact with each other in such a way that it's very obvious who is who and how their personalities work together as a team.
Which I thought was going to be a challenge for, the voice actor, but clearly not. I mean,
Dee Bradley Baker,
he clearly has a lot of fun.
MVP of the show. Like, Dee Bradley Baker is going to be able to pay off his mortgage entirely.
and his friend's mortgage.
Pay off some of his friend's mortgage by the time he's done with this show, because he does so much work. Over 50% of this episode is Dee Bradley Baker.
What's funny too? I was thinking about that. How much money they must be saving though by only making him like the main voice actor. Like, you know what I mean? Because like if you think about it, if you don't count all the characters as different characters, like you just say anytime he voices a character that counts as one. Like how many characters are really in this show so far? Like 2? 3?
He voices all of the clone troopers.
All of them, right? So
all
it's
of
like
them, all of the Bad Batch, all of the clone troopers, characters who are going to show up later on in the show that we know from the trailers. Like he's in it so much.
I love.
I'm like this dude is so good, and he's going to be cashing so many paychecks. And honestly, I love that for him, and I love to see it. So Omega helps them escape. I love the little touch where they show that the shock troopers that she drops the ceiling panel on are still alive.
Oh yeah, they had to make sure that they were still alive. So they were like, let's show them like kind of like grunt or move or something when they like leave the room. They're like, oh, they're still there.
Yep. This actually reminds me the bit of Charles Deep lore here, but when I was in high school, somebody actually did try to crawl into the ceiling of our band room and fell through the ceiling. So I got a special laugh out of this scene just because I have seen what it looks like when a ceiling collapses, and it's very funny.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of that episode of The Office where they did that, where they're trying to escape through the ceiling and he falls. And so it was fun.
So the clones, the Bad Batch, runs off. They run to the hangar. Super convenient of the Empire to put all of their gear in the same hangar as their escape shuttle.
Yeah.
That was nice of them.
Well, I also thought it was like, well, the reason why I thought it was funny too, because they were clearly setting up like, okay, they were like, we have to go save Crosshair. And then they were like, oh, wait, we can't do that unless we have our stuff. Well, our stuff happens to be in the escape area. So why would we go get our stuff in the escape area and then come back for Crosshair and then go back to the escape place? I thought they were really setting that up just to be like, oh, by the way, you're never going to go back for Crosshair. You're just going to leave. Like
it clearly was to save on location.
Yeah.
Even though they did locations.
They needed to save on the budget for the shooting schedule because they were like, let's just film it all in one location.
Well, I mean, animation is hard, and I believe we mentioned this before, but super convenient that they had all these character models lying around from the final season of the Clone Wars that they could use for these characters. I think there's only a few new models that had to be
really,
for this
like I
episode.
said, the only models I can think of are the little girl
and the insurgents.
Right? Yeah, everything else would have been fairly reusable. I don't know, Lama Su and all that stuff. They were Kaminoans. They were. Are they in the Clone Wars?
They were in Clone Wars. Probably what they did, if I had to speculate, probably what they did is they took the models from Clone Wars and they reskinned them.
Yeah. Okay.
So all of the rigging remained the same.
I see.
All of the modeling remained the same. It's just they reskinned the textures and updated the textures.
Oh,
and that probably is how they did it.
I was saying, I don't know what scene she's in, but Lama Su's assistant, Ty Lee.
Nala Se. We'll talk about her in a minute.
Okay, she didn't show up till later on, or did she show up?
She's been throughout the episode.
No. The one from Attack of the Clones.
Oh, Lama Su. No, Lama Su's the primary.
Ty Lee. Tanwi. That's what I'm saying.
Tanwi.
She's in the episode.
You're thinking of Ty Lee from... Tanwi's in the episode?
For 0.2 seconds.
Is she on the bit where they're standing?
She's standing with Lama Su at one point, and then she like kind of walks away for a second. She doesn't say anything, but she like walks away. Because I just remember her outfit so very vividly in my brain, like from Attack of the Clones for some reason. Just because she's different than all the other ones, because she has like a dress or something and like, you know, her little hair braid thing.
It is Star Wars Day. I was planning to watch Star Wars. Maybe I'll sit down and watch Attack of the Clones, which I will admit on the show, Attack of the Clones is my least favorite of the movies. But I might sit down and rewatch it just for the Kaminoan stuff.
I mean, you could also just go on YouTube and just type in.
I could go to
Camino
YouTube. I could go to YouTube, but you know, it's Star Wars Day. Maybe I want to watch one of the movies.
Right. Well, see, this is the problem with not having the trivia like readily available, because I was like, oh, she's in this episode, like randomly in the background, like
I am the trivia.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, so I don't know when she shows up. I don't know when she shows up, but she's randomly in the background. But no, the other girl.
I believe, yes. If I had to guess, I would say probably in the scene where Palpatine announces the formation of the Empire. She's probably on the balcony, but I would have to double check this.
Gotcha. Yeah. Anyway, so
we are standing in the hangar, and Crosshair shows up in new, sleek, sexy Dark Trooper armor. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's the first Dark Trooper.
Ooh, never thought about that.
But he's in black armor. There's a shootout. There's some good dialogue. Mm-hmm. And then we get a twist with Nala Se. Now, Nala Se, I want to mention because as we were talking, I Wikipedia'd her real quick.
Okay.
She's been in several episodes of the Clone Wars. She was in the Malevolence arc of the Clone Wars. She was on the station, the medical station that the Malevolence is attacking. So we've actually seen her before in the show. And she's not just out of nowhere. And also, I guess it would appear that she was also in some other stuff, but I was just skimming the article. But we get a twist where she helps Clone Force 99 escape by jamming the bay doors.
Right. This is going to fuel into... Okay, when can we talk about the theory? Because I need to know like when the best part. Okay.
Soon.
Because they keep connecting things to it, and I'm like, wait, this is important because she's doing something to help.
The theory is the big twist that we're building up to this entire episode of the podcast. Of what my theory is about.
Gotcha.
Omega, but she jams the hangar doors. Omega shoots Crosshair,
Right.
which
With the
again, I
gun.
mentioned hyper competent kids are a
Yes,
staple
obviously.
of Star Wars. It's a fantasy for the kids.
Right.
It's not for you. Shut up.
Right.
Let the kids have their moment. Let it be a girl this time. Let it happen. And then we get a scene where Nala Se goes in and talks to Lama Su. And what's interesting here, I'm
Hmm.
going to bring this up real quick. I thought initially when she first walked in to talk to him, it was going to be like, oh, Lama Su is working against the Empire now. No, the dialogue, she says, oh, Clone Force 99 escaped. He's like, well, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Clearly, this was just her going rogue. So, like, are we going to see like more Camino stuff? And like the politics of Camino?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just like a one-off, they're just kind of like, okay, well, she helped her escape because she's like her friend or something. But like,
I think
I don't know.
I think they're setting this up to underpin at least the first season the
Yeah.
what's happening on Camino with some Lama Su
Yeah.
clearly, chafing under the Empire altering the deal
Right.
and praying they don't alter it further.
Of course.
And now we have Nala Se who's actively subverting the Empire behind Lama Su's back. There's interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And we get our final scene on the ship.
Hmm.
Now, here's where we can finally talk about it. Because Hunter, I believe it is, asks Omega, when were you training with a gun? And Omega goes, I never have. That's the first time I picked up a gun. I don't know how I did it.
Right.
And I immediately at 1:15 in the morning, this was actually the moment I texted you to stay off social media because I sat up in my seat and went, she is force sensitive. This is the genetic modification they made.
Oh,
they made it to her. Made it to her so that she could be force sensitive. This is why she knew what Crosshair was going to do. This is how she knew how to use a gun. This is why she's so different than everybody else.
So
they made her so different. Clone. She's a force sensitive clone.
Interesting. Okay, because you've taken what I even came up with a different theory, like from watching this episode. So so that makes a lot of sense, and I actually agree with you. My theory that I came up with while I was watching this, because I told you earlier that there's this part where we see her mimicking Hunter, and I thought that was just like, oh, I just want to be like them. But I thought about it, and I thought about like as she picks up the gun, and it clicked in my brain. What if she is an amalgamation of all of Clone Force 99? So she has all of their skills already built into her DNA. So like she is all of Clone Force 99. She has the shooting capability. She has this tech capability. She has all that stuff because she is, like you said, the final clone, like the final design of the clone, like the.
Well, we do see clones being grown in vats, so we know that she's not. Per the episode, we know that she's not actually the final clone.
Right. Well, when I say the final clone, I mean the final design. Yeah, like the 2.0 or whatever, like the final version.
That would make sense. I don't know if they're going to go that direction.
Yeah.
Just because, she has to fit into the team structure. I don't think they're going to go so far with her competency as to say, she's as strong as Wrecker. She's as savvy as Tech.
I see.
I think that I really sticking by my theory that they modified her to be force sensitive, or they were trying to create a Jedi, because it goes into my theory for what Moff Gideon is doing in The Mandalorian, where I think he's trying to make himself force sensitive.
Gotcha.
And follows up with Rise of Skywalker, where it is revealed that Snoke is a GMO who is also made to be extremely powerful in the Force. So Omega could be the earliest iteration of that growing something that the Force can manifest in the way it manifests and as a Jedi.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because I was like, I mean, there's so many different things, but I'm still sticking with my theory that she is the female Boba Fett. Like they are setting her up to be in Book of Boba later as, I don't know, force sensitive female Boba Fett, who is going to, I don't know, end up marrying the Mandalorian or something. Like,
she's gonna be the new queen of Mandalore.
right, of course, something like that. Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see as it progresses and how it goes with the season. Any final thoughts on where the season's going to go, the episode as a whole? I mean, other than the last thing they said.
The last thing they said. Here's my theory, recorded for posterity.
Yeah.
J-19 is going to turn out to be Braca.
Yep.
From Jedi Fallen Order, and the friend is going to be Rex.
Yeah. I mean, I figured that one. Yeah, I figured that was it.
I'm just calling that's probably where they're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty obvious. Like, that's
because here's the thing. Yeah. It's doing what the 2 Mando seasons and Clone Wars final season did.
Yeah.
Where it seems like they're only using the first 3 or 4 episodes for the trailer footage.
Yeah, I definitely think that's exactly what they're doing. And they're going to go, like, in the next episode, we're going to see Rex. And then in the 3rd episode, we're going to see Fennec Shand. And then in the 4th episode, it's going to be like that culmination of all of it. And then that's it. Like,
or they're going to go to the one planet from Slaves of the Republic. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was a featured prominent. The Zygerians, where they live, is going to be featured. Maybe they're going to go in episode 2 and it's going to work out. And then, then they'll go to Braca and meet Rex. And I'm 99% sure that they meet him on Braca based on another shot in the trailer. But they've done a good job of setting up, like, clearly where the season is going, as far as the Bad Batch is going to run around the galaxy and Crosshair is going to chase them, and it's going to be a good time had by all.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm excited though. I'm excited to see where the show's going to go. I hope they can keep our attention. Like you said, they do clearly want to, like, when we saw that tweet about the 12 episodes,
16,
I'm sorry. I figured, like, okay, they clearly want to make this like a thing, not just a one-off, season of a show. So I don't know, because the problem with doing 16 episodes is you can lose the audience if you don't keep them. I don't know what the story arc is though. So, like, if it takes 16 episodes to tell that story, then that's how long it takes, I mean, but if
that's the story they're telling, yeah.
Right. But if it's like, oh, they're going to tell this clone 99, whatever, she's force sensitive, whatever, only over the course of the next 8 episodes. And then they're like, oh, that's just the first story arc. And then the second story arc of this season is something else, over the next 16 episodes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they're trying to do. So
they may break it up. They may do 8 episodes now and they might do 8 episodes later.
Right.
And scheduling this podcast is a nightmare because they won't tell us when the episodes are coming out.
Right.
And just revealed that they made 16 episodes, which does not even mean that there's 16 episodes in the season. It just means there's 16 that are done.
Right.
There might be 4 or 6 more.
Yeah, this could be. I mean, this could be a 6-episode season, and then they're like, "Okay, that's season 1," and then they're like, "We won't give you season 2 until February.
We'll give you season 2 in 2023."
Right, and then they're like, "Okay, here's another 6 episodes." Like, I mean, we don't know. We don't know. So
I'm always glad to just get more Star Wars content because there's been so little of it.
Lately.
We got Mando season 2, and we got the High Republic, but I like seeing a variety of my content, and Bad Batch is definitely shaping up to be something that I'm very much going to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where it goes.
It definitely will make the Bad Batch arc of the Clone Wars definitely hit different when this season is over.
Yeah, I might go back and watch it after this is all over, just to kind of like get a new sense of, like, well, now we know where their kind of stories are going versus like a one-off, kind of little journey.
And that, kids, is what we in the business call a backdoor pilot.
A very long extended edition backdoor pilot.
80-minute backdoor pilot.
Right.
But still, Star Wars has been doing this a lot, I noticed, between Bad Batch and Ahsoka showing up in season 2 of Mando. They've been doing lots of backdoor pilots.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they get stronger as we move forward, because I didn't think the Ahsoka backdoor pilot was strong enough, or at least it wasn't enough of a backdoor pilot, to kind of really sell me on whatever the show is going to be about. So because they didn't really do. That was kind of like a mini backdoor pilot. I don't want to get too much into it because we haven't.
We won't get too much into it because we will cover Mando season 2 before Mando season 3 comes out.
Right.
Somehow we will cover this. I'm so tired.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well,
I'm already tired.
I was like, well, I was going to say until next week, but I guess until this week because
we're getting 2 episodes.
Because we're getting 2 episodes this week. So technically I was going to say until we have to stop talking because I have to hurry up and edit this episode so I can post it tomorrow.
Thursday, I think.
I'll post it Thursday so that it comes out before the next episode. But
there we go. You heard it on the show. All right. Oh God, I'm already tired. Follow us on Twitter at Gold Squad Gaze. Follow us on Instagram at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us. We will see you next time. I am already in need of a nap. I'm Baby Yoda vibes right now.
Your Baby Yoda vibes. Well, from Clone Force 99 and myself and Charles.
Bye.